Welcome back to the Pilgrim's Lens. I'm Tom Worth. Wanted to talk about Léon Cathedral today in Spain. It is on the Camino de Santiago, and that is a place where you have some magnificent cathedrals. You have Burgos, and then you have Leon, and it's not too far by car, which is how we were driving there. Walking it's another story. It's quite a grueling walk from what we read about and looked into when we were thinking we were going to walk it. And we were picking a stretch to walk. We knew we couldn't walk for 30 days, but we thought we would walk from Burgos to Leon because of those two cathedrals. In the end, we ended up driving from Madrid up north to the Basque Country, and then drove back down, stopped at the sanctuary of Loyola, which is where Ignatius was born, and that's where his just amazing, ornate church is, really attached to his ancestral home where he recovered and was called to do what he did when he was recovering from a horrific battle wound over in Pamplona, also on the pilgrimage route. Anyway, then went on from there down to Burgos and spent a couple of days there. And that was the town where we just completely fell in love. We fell in love with Madrid, but that was, kind of from a tourist perspective and all the museums and the food, and it was awesome. And we got to several churches there, got to a mass there. And we were in the same church where Jose Maria Escrivá said his first Madrid public mass. It wasn't his first public mass or his first mass as a priest, but it was his first mass as a priest in Madrid. God, there's just so much. I'm losing track here. Back to Leon. We ended up driving down to Burgos, and then we were driving all the way over to Santiago de Compostela. We were driving all the way from we were just going to drive the route. So we did drive from Burgos to Leon and then on to Santiago de Compostela. The Burgos Cathedral was amazing. That's where El Cid's remains are. It's huge. It's just massive. There's so much history there. There's an old Cistercian monastery outside of town that we walked to. That was amazing. Our son went to a Cistercian school for his education, kind of the junior high through high school years here in Texas. Just amazing educators. Then we went on to Leon, and the thing we wanted to see there, and we weren't even going to stop. We didn't have time to see the whole town and go all through the church and just do all that stuff. It was a Saturday. We wanted to see the stained glass windows there because they are supposedly on par with those of Sainte-Chapelle up in Paris, which are just stunning beyond belief. You can't believe how they look. From outside, when you look at stained glass, it's just dull and dreary, and it doesn't look like anything's going on there. It just looks like kind of old black glass, but when you're on the inside and the daylight's filtering through, it's just stunning. And that's why we stopped in Leon, just to do that. Made sure the church was open. It was a Saturday, of course it was. They were going to charge admission, which some churches do, some churches don't. Burgos did, to take a whole tour, but Burgos had a side chapel, and it was free, and it was off limits from people doing the tour. Remember when we were doing the tour in Burgos, we were kind of chapped a little bit because they had this strap, this rope kind of roping off this super cool looking side chapel, but there were people over on the other side of the rope, and we just couldn't see what was over there or why some people had gotten over there, how they had gotten over there, whatever. It didn't matter. We just had hours and hours to explore the rest of the cathedral, and so we did that. And then turned out it was raining outside, and ran around to a different side door, and on that side door we saw that there was a pilgrim's mass at 7 p.m. This was on a Friday back in September, and it was almost 7 o'clock, and that was the roped off area that we could not get to from the inside of the rest of the cathedral. So my wife and I just were, I mean, it was just one of those really cool, you know, a blessing in disguise kind of thing. We went in there and got to take in the Pilgrim's Mass that Friday night, and all the pilgrims. We'll get into a Burgos video later. Let's get back to Leon. Keep getting sidetracked. We weren't in that town very long, and we were sorely disappointed that you couldn't see anything without getting past a pay window, and we couldn't even see what was in there to see. But I knew the stained glass was there. And it turns out there was no one at the pay window. It turns out you just couldn't get in, even though it was supposed to be open. And again, we found our way to this side door and this just unbelievably cool side chapel there. It's just a whole different room. And we were able to walk right into there and just pray for a little bit, just a few minutes. And notice there were some candles, and notice there was some decoration going on, as if there had just been a wedding, or was maybe going to be a wedding. And we thought, wow, that's really cool. How amazing would it be to get married in this place? Which takes us back to when we parked our car in some public parking space, and we were having a hard time with the card reader and the Spanish. There was no English. We had some Spanish with us, but we weren't sure how much time. It was saying it was going to be like $1.20 or something for like 6 hours. I forget what it was. It just didn't seem right. So this guy in a military uniform, looked super young, probably early to mid 20s, just polished to the nines. He was with a lady. They were a couple. We didn't know what he was all dressed up for, but he was in his military uniform, and he was super helpful. Spoke some English. Said, "Yeah, you're good. This is just really cheap parking. It's like $5 for 24 hours or something." I don't know. I don't remember the dollar amounts. But then we went on our way. We wondered where they were going. We went up, and it turns out we were walking kind of towards the same place, towards the cathedral. And then we went in around the side, around past all the flying buttresses of that glorious cathedral. And then we took a look around inside. We prayed. We came out. And we saw the same guy in the military uniform. Only now he was with several other people in their uniforms. And we figured maybe one of them was getting married. But it turns out it was, I don't think it was one of them. It was just because we saw this huge wedding. It was just a huge wedding, all gathered outside the church. And there's several people in these military uniforms, so they were clearly friends. But there were young people, old people, and they were all in just their finery, just their Spanish, dressed to the nines, just to happen upon a full-on Spanish wedding at Léon Cathedral in the middle of the day on a Saturday. That was cooler than going into the cathedral, I think. Now, of course, we need to get back. We need to see that stained glass someday. It's been restored either completely or mostly by now. But to just by chance happen upon this wedding in 2025 at this 800-year-old cathedral. We've been in plenty of 800-year-old cathedrals for Mass, but to see it still living, still alive now for this wedding ceremony. I remember our fairly sizable Catholic wedding at a church here in Arlington, Texas, and that was great because that was where my wife's parents got married long ago in the 60s. I don't know, something magical about this was just kind of God throwing you a curveball, I think, or whatever you want to call it, and just testing you a little bit, like how annoyed are you going to be? Okay, having to pay to go see these things is kind of annoying, but you get it. It costs money to maintain these things and to restore these things and to pay the staff. That's obvious. I mean, that's going to cost money. But just to have the thing closed on a Saturday when I had already checked online that it was open, and then I was pretty annoyed, asked my wife. But then we came out and we saw that, yeah, there's a legitimate good reason. I couldn't believe they would shut down this whole cathedral for a wedding to take place, but they sure did. And it was just kind of magical. We had lunch in the town, and it was great. Took some pictures of the people standing around afterwards. I know there's pretty strict privacy laws for photography in Spain as there are in France. I'm not going to show any faces here or anything, but I do have this wide shot of I have a lot of shots of the cathedral from the outside, but this one you can see some of the wedding party down below, pretty small, but there's just a lot of them. Just a great day. If you were a pilgrim, I imagine maybe you would have been gypped out of a pilgrim mass, I don't know, or maybe it would have been later in the day where that wedding had been held in the afternoon. I'm not sure how that all would have worked out, but I'm sure any pilgrims would have seen so much on their pilgrimage already, and then to come on to this as we did, they probably are likely to look at it in the same light as we did, which is just another unexpected magical experience on your pilgrimage, which is exactly how we looked at it. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, that's all for this one. I hope you're enjoying these so far. I know I love making them and reminiscing and going through my photos and just having my memories jogged. It's just, just so many reasons to go on a pilgrimage or to go on some sort of spiritual journeys, to keep God in everything you do, to keep Him with you at all times. He's always there. You just have to remember it. You just have to know it. You have to feel it and internalize it. He's always there, and it's up to you to find out where and how you're going to look at things. So that's what I'm talking about today. And I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all can give it a like and subscribe if this is something you're interested in seeing more about. Right now I'm still talking more about pilgrimages specifically, not so much history. We'll get into more of that later, probably more with the Burgos video that will be coming up. But that's it, and I hope you all stay safe and safe travels, and go with God. We'll talk later.